Okay, hello everyone. All right, so the last primitive integer data type, okay, is called long. Okay, the word long. All right, so we can declare a variable of data type long, and we can give it a name. Okay, because this is going to be a long value, I'm going to go ahead and call this my money. Okay, my money. All right, so basically we are telling the computer to reserve a space in its memory, call that space my money, and only allow values of data type long to be stored in there, right? So what's a value, or what are values of data type long? Now we mentioned that the four primitive integer types, okay, they are grouped, or they are categorized because each of them have their range. All right, so now the range of a long, it's pretty long, it's pretty big, right? So I'm going to type it here, and just for fun, I'm going to mention the I don't know the name for it, if it's millions or trillions. I'm going to mention it. So it starts with, so basically integers in the range of -9 quintillion, all right, 223 quadrillion, 372 trillion, 36 billion, 854 million, 775,808, right? So this is just basically from this range, okay? Something so basically this is a range starting from this number. I'm not going to say the million, or again, because that's too much. I said it for fun. So it starts from -9 quintillion, and basically this value all the way to a positive hold on. So all the way to a positive 9 quintillion, 223 quadrillion, 372 a trillion, and I'll just type the rest, okay? I'm not going to say it again. So 372,036, 854, 775, 807. So you don't have to memorize this value, okay? This number is on the internet. It's all over the internet. You can look through the Java documentation and you find this. But I just thought of but you have to know that it's in this. You have to know that if you wanted to use a long, you have to know basically where the limits of it, right? So this range starts from this value all the way to this value. All right. So now we know. So we can try declaring a variable, right? So we can try declaring a variable. Sorry, we've already done that. We've already declared a variable called my money, right? We can try initializing this variable with a value. So we can say my money now is equal to, let's use exactly this. Let's use the big this one, basically the positive number here. All right, it's a long variable. We've declared it, and we are initializing it with basically something that can fit in a long. Let's compile it and see what happens. So we compiled it, and it said integer number too large, right? Now that's bad, because this is the range of a long, and we are initializing it with a value that's supposed to fit in a long. But here we are, it's saying integer number too long. That's bad. All right. So why is it doing this? So first of all, let me go ahead and comment this out, right? And let's just tell the program to print out a number for us. Let's tell the program to print out. So I'm going to use a printl statement and print out the number 2 or the number 3. Compile this. Well, this is just declaring the variable. It's not really doing anything. It's not really printing anything. This is what's printing. I'm going to print something. So when I compile this and I run it, we can see it's able to print 3 for us, right? What about I tell it to print out something like 6 million, right? So when I compile this and I run it, it's able to do it, right? By the way, we don't put in comments when we are declaring, basically initializing values or variables this way, okay? And I'll explain all that, but I just wanted to mention you'd probably be expecting comments here, but then we don't put in comments when we are using it in as literals. Okay, so just know that, but I'll explain. I'll mention that when I get to declaring variables and all that stuff, and initializing variables and all that stuff. All right, so it's able to print out 6 million for us. How about let's say the max of an integer? So for example, remember from the previous video, right? we mentioned the range of an integer, right? So let's just do this for, so I'm just going to type in range of an int. All right, remember int was the third primitive integer data type that we looked at, right? So range of an int, let me just basically type it here. So range of an int, right, is basically from negative 2 billion 147 million 483,648. So I just want to explain why that we are having a problem with the long, right? So from this number, basically positive 2 billion 147,483,647. We know that this is the range of an int, right? Let's try printing the last value of an int. Okay, basically the positive number here. Compile this. It's able to compile, run this, and it's able to print out that value. Let's change this to 248. One number more than basically what can be stored in an int. And let's try to compile this. And we have a problem saying integer number too large. Why is it saying this? I've commented all of this here. So that's basically not part of the code. The only thing I have left is just my declaration here. And I'm just telling the program to print out a number. It should be able to print it, right? It doesn't make sense for it to say that it's too large. I'm just saying, hey, don't do anything. Just print out a number for me. And it's saying integer number too large. All right. So the reason why it wasn't able to, so let's just go ahead and comment this out. I don't want to confuse you too much. As a matter of fact, let's delete. Oh no, let's comment. This is fine. I just want you to see this. This is the range of an int, and this was where we started having problems. Right? This is the range of a long. Okay. So we tried to put in a valid number for long here, and we compiled it, and it said integer number too large again. That's because anytime you type in an integer, anytime you type in an integer literal in your program, it doesn't matter if it's the number 1, the number -2, the number 5, the number 50. Anytime you type in an integer literal, Java assumes that number to be an int of type int. We've looked at byte, we've looked at short, we've looked at int, and now we're looking at long. It doesn't matter. Anytime you type in an integer, yeah, whether it's a short, byte, int, or long, anytime you type in any number, which is an integer, Java assumes it to be of type int, right? So basically, we've declared this variable as a long. We are trying to store this number in here, okay? This is an integer literal here, okay? We're trying to store this number over here. It should be able to, right? Because we've declared this as a long. But as soon as we type in an integer literal or an integer value, Java assumes this number to be of type int, right? And in an int, it has this range. It can only store this. So we can see that because Java has automatically assumed this number to be of an int, although it's really not, it's really a bigger number. But that's how it works by default. Java has assumed this number to be an int. And it's saying that, hey, this number can't be an int. This is too big for an int. And that's why it's saying integer number too large. This number is too large for an int because Java has assumed this number to be an int. So in order for us to, we have to basically tell the program that, hey, I know that you see every number as an int, but really this number is not an int. This number is a long. You need to specify to the program that, okay, I know you always assume integer literals as int or as having, or basically as being of data type int. I'm telling you that this is not an int. This is a long. And the way we do that is by basically adding the letter L at the end of the number. We are saying that, okay, I know that you already assume integer values to be of type int, but this is not an int. This is a long. And I'm telling you by putting this capital letter L here. All right. So now when I compile this is fine. So what happened was this. First, I didn't have the letter L here, and I compiled it. I have declared a variable of type long. I'm storing in a value that is valid in the range of a long. And Java is telling me that an integer number is too large. That's because anytime you type in an integer literal in your program, okay, Java assumes it to be of type or of data type int, and this is the range of an int of an int variable. So it's saying, okay, this number is too big for an int, right? But the thing is, because Java assumes any number you type as an int, all right, that's why this is happening. That's why it's saying this is too big. So we have to tell Java that this is not an int. I don't want to create a variable of type int, or so I don't want to have or create a value of type int. This is a long, and the way you specify to Java is by ending it with the letter capital L or a small l. But don't use a small l, because when you use a small l, it looks like a 1. It looks like the number 1. It's confusing. So use a capital L. See, when you use L, it looks like a 1. So use capital L to tell Java that, hey, this number is not an int, like the way you always assume all numbers. This number is a long. So I'm specifying to the program, saying, okay, I know you always assume your every integer number we type here to be an int, or to be of data type int. But no, this number is not one of them. This number is a long. So I'm ending it with a capital letter L. When I compile this, the program says, okay, I'm not going to assume your number as an int. Because of this L, I'm going to assume your number as a long, and it's able to store it here, right? So now this doesn't have any problem. Now back to this statement. When I compile this, now I've declared a variable of type long. I've stored in a number. I've told Java that don't assume this to be of int, or don't assume this number to be of type int. Assume it or this number, or basically see this number as a long by typing an L here. So that's all it's doing. It's able to declare and initialize. It has no problem with this. When I comment this out and I compile this, we can see it's able to do these two. All right. So this is the range of an int again. Every integer literal you type in Java is basically assumed to be an int. Whether every number you type, whether I'm talking about integers here, whether it's a short, a byte, an int, or a long, every integer you type, it's assumed to be of the data type int, right? So I'm just telling the program over here to display this integer number for me. Java automatically assumes it to be of type int, right? Over here, when I type in something in the range of an int, so first of all, Java assumes this number to be of type int, and it says, okay, this number is in the range of an int, so I can go ahead and I can display it. So when I compile this, it can display it. When I run it, we can see that it's able to display it. But as soon as I go outside of the range of an int, all right, now first of all, I've typed in an integer literal here, all right? Every integer number, so I've typed in basically an integer literal, right? Every integer number you type into the program, Java assumes it to be of type int. So Java has assumed this to be of type int. It doesn't matter if I type in this, I type in -5, Java assumes it to be of type int. So what I typed initially was this, right? Java has assumed it to be of type int. Now it's checking to see, okay, is this number that I've assumed to be of type int, is it in the range of an int? It says no. And that's why when I try to print this number, Java says that the integer number is too large. It's saying this number, okay, is too large to fit in an integer, right? As soon as it goes outside of the range of an int, it becomes a long. But the Java doesn't know it's a long. It's still assuming this number to be of int, and it's telling you that, hey, this is too large to fit in an int, right? So because this number is a long, Java doesn't know. I need to specify to Java that, hey, don't assume this number to be an int. In the first place, it's not even in the range of an int, okay? You should know that it's not even in the range of int. You should know that this is a long. But it doesn't know. So you have to tell it and say, okay, this is not an int, Java. This is a long. So I'm going to end it with a capital letter L. Okay, I'm telling Java that this is a long number, and this is not an int. So stop assuming it to be an int. That's what I've done here. So when I compile this, it says, oh, okay, I'm not going to assume this to be an int. Because of this L, I'm going to assume this to be I'm going to know that this is a long. So now we can go ahead and print it. So we can see that it's been able to print it. So again, you can use small letter L or capital letter L. But again, if you use small letter L, it looks like a 1. See, it still works. but it looks like a 1. So use a capital L just so you can see the difference. So I hope this explains it. Okay, I hope this gives you a good idea of it. This was just to give you a range of an int, just so we see it, because Java assumes every integer number we type in our program as an int or of type int, and that's why if it's not in the range of an int, it's going to complain. All right, so I hope this makes sense, right? This is the range of a long. We are initializing, we've declared a variable of type long. We are initializing that variable with a number that's really a long, right? But Java didn't know, so we had to Java didn't know, because Java assumes every integer number we type into our program as an int, right? And it's complaining because this number is too large for an int, right? It should know that this number is too large for an int and make it a long, right? But Java doesn't know. It always assumes every integer number we type into our program as an int. So we have to tell it, hey, this number is not an int, it's a long. We have to type an L after the number to tell Java that this number is a long. This is the range of an int, so we need this is just so that we can see the range of an int. And over here too, we are doing the same thing. We are displaying a number that's outside the range of an int. But Java assumes every number we type into our program as an int, and it's saying, okay, this number is too large for an int, right? So it will complain to us until we tell Java that, hey, Java, don't assume every number as an int. This number is not an int, this is a long. So we type in an L here so we can display it. So I hope this makes sense. It gives you an idea of why you have to use a letter L if you really want a long variable. Java will never know that that number you've typed is a long, because it always assumes every integer number as an int. So we have to go ahead and type in the capital letter L to show or to tell Java that this number is a long. Okay, so I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please comment down below and I'll do everything to respond to them. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next video. All right then, bye-bye.